Hello. You're listening to Catholic Weekend.
I am? I thought I
Yes,
was
you
on the
are.
show.
You are.
Oh, so I'm listening in on the show.
You are listening. You're in the show.
Whoa!
Hey,
Well, I
kids.
hope I comb my hair.
Well, it looks like you have. Kids, if you want to join us on the show, just keep listening. And then, perhaps, you can be on the show too.
Well, only if they're in the chat room and watching. Right?
Well, yeah, of course. You know, our huge live audience.
Call your friends. Call your enemies.
Oh, Lynn says, will Steve's harmonica make a reappearance this morning? Tune in.
I'm not sure where it is.
That'll be our interlude music.
Let me go see if I can find it. I'll be right back.
And, okay, so here's the deal. This is what we're going to do. We're going to, it's just Steve and I this morning. And I shouldn't say just, but it is Steve and I this morning. And our ladies could not join us for various reasons. And so we thought, we did this a couple of years ago, and we thought we were going to do it like once a month, but we only did it the one time. But we kind of did an open line Saturday.
Yeah,
and,
we did it. I remember doing it once during a one of our fundraising marathons.
Maybe that was what it was. I don't know. I do remember there was an episode of Catholic Weekend that we did that again was like this. Nobody could show up, and it was just like me. Okay. I remember Mike Kuipers was one of our panelists that joined. I coaxed him into joining us. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the show, and then I'm going to announce that if you would like to join us today, you can contact our call screener, Lynn Francisco. And Lynn is available by contacting her at Lynn, it's Lyn, at sqpn.com. And there, she'll determine if you're Catholic Weekend ready or Catholic Weekend worthy.
Whoa!
And she'll send you, it's really not a high bar.
I was going to say,
Passover.
Have they judged us to be worthy?
No, we're not worthy either. Okay. Well, so we set the bar very, very low, so I'm sure you'll be able to get in. Anyway, so she'll send you a link to the Hangout on Air. All you need to have, ideally, would be the webcam or computer FaceTime camera or whatever, and a microphone. Built-in microphone is acceptable. An external microphone or a headset or something like that is better sound. But even if you just have a microphone, you don't have a video, that's okay too. We can still have you on the show. So if you want to contribute something, you want to just hang out, you have a question, whatever, then you can contact Lynn, Lyn, at sqpn.com, and she'll send you the link, and then you can join us. How about that? We'll see how that works out.
Yes.
Okay, so I have the H2 recording right now. That's always a good thing. Let me play this out and make sure that Steve can hear and everybody else on the show can hear.
This is SQPN, the StarQuest Production Network, leading the way.
Yeah, Lynn was saying that the last time we tried this, Barb was trying to get on, and all we could hear was her vacuum cleaner, which was a computer fan. So, yeah, let's give it a shot. Why don't we? So it's going to be kind of a casual, even more so than usual, I think, this week. So, you ready, Steve?
Yes.
All right, let's do this.
This is SQPN, the StarQuest Production Network, leading the way.
You're listening to Catholic Weekend, episode number 234 for the week ending Saturday, August 9th, 2014. Good morning and welcome to Catholic Weekend.
I'm your captain.
I'm your captain.
I'm your captain.
In Roswell, Georgia.
So I'm feeling
and joining us today from the beaches of... Oh, wait a minute. No, Maria Johnson's not with us this morning. She's in the Florida Panhandle somewhere, probably on her third or fourth Bloody Mary. And let's see, let's go over to San Antonio. Deep in the... Oh, wait a minute. No. Angela Ciolana can't be with us either. She's on vacation. Vacation from Catholic Weekend, I think. So let's zip on back over here to Atlanta, to the fashionable Buckhead area of Atlanta, and we have the Catholic... Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting word now that Sarah is busy packing for her trip to Brazil, so she's not going to be here either. So that leaves us with, last but not least, from the plains of Oklahoma, Steve Nelson.
Where the wind comes sweeping down the plain.
No, I'm really here. No, I'm really here. Hello, everybody. I'm not your captain, but I'm your cowboy, I guess.
Yeah.
Howdy, howdy. In Oklahoma, Cowboys.
And without upsetting the person from Texas, right? Well, that's not just
we don't have the only Cowboys, but we do have Cowboys.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, welcome to Catholic Weekend, Steve.
Why, thank you, Jeff. I have to ask you a question. As you were doing those intros.
Yeah.
You know, I recently took a flight on Southwest Airlines, and they're kind of known for their funny, comedic flight attendants.
Yes.
Do you do funny things like that on when you're flying? Do
I personally do stuff like that? Well, not like in a prepared way, like the safety video or something like that. It depends on my mood, and sometimes I'll try to interject humor in the thing, but I don't make it a routine thing. But if things are going not so swimmingly, like we have a big delay or something like that, I'll if I can control my own frustration over the matter, I'll try to interject some humor.
Try to lighten the mood.
I used to do you remember the commercial that used to be on Geico where, or is it? Yeah. I have good news and bad news. The bad news is, so like for instance, we're coming into the ramp into Atlanta, and our gate is occupied, and it's going to be occupied for like 15 minutes because we're early or whatever. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have some good news and bad news. I'll start with the bad news. The gate is occupied and is not going to be available for another 15 minutes. But the good news is I saved a whole bunch of money by switching my auto insurance to Geico or something, that commercial. And that usually would elicit, a big response. But if I did it now, nobody would laugh, or just a handful of people would probably chuckle because it's not
been too long since we've had that.
Yeah. Another one was that Holiday Inn commercial where they, the guy steps in to the nuclear reactor, and he's like donut, and they're going like, are you new? And he goes, oh no, I'm not a nuclear scientist, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I love those.
And we get no compensation for all those commercials we just did for other companies.
No. Hopefully we don't get sued.
No, it was all good.
Yeah, so I have done that one as well, saying like, welcome to Atlanta, and we're gonna have to wait, but something to the effect that. Oh, and by the way, John and I up here, we're not really airline pilots, but we did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. And this is, of course, after the flight.
Yeah. Oh, there was I don't know if this is real, but I saw this on Facebook last night, and it's a picture of an airline pilot with a seeing eye dog.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen it? Apparently, there was a woman, a visually impaired woman with a seeing eye dog, and it was one of those flights where you stay on the plane because it's connecting.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, the pilot and the woman knew each other. I guess she flies that route every now and then, and so he asked if she wanted to get off and stretch her legs between waiting for the connecting flight, and she said no, but my dog here, he could probably stretch his legs, and so the pilot is seen walking through the concourse, and he's got sunglasses on and a seeing eye dog. It's a great photo, and I'm sure some people thought, what? what? My pilot? He can't see? No, that can't be true.
We don't. All we do, Steve, is just like push the takeoff button, push the land button. That's all we do. That reminds me of a skit or a prank that somebody did on YouTube. I think it was YouTube, and I think it was the moving sidewalk in the Louisville, Kentucky airport, because it looked familiar to me. And he was in a pilot's uniform with the really dark glasses and had one of those blind sticks, the white stick,
cane,
cane, whatever, kind of tapping along, walking, and people would be going by, going, like, "Did you just see that? What? Blind pilot? What?" So, yes, funny.
Well, I've had some landings that felt like the pilot couldn't really see very well.
Okay, now. Sometimes I use the analogy. You're a baseball fan, right? You watch baseball. And we have those baseball players out there who are known as the home run hitters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes they come up to bat and they hit a home run, and sometimes they come up to bat and they strike out. Same thing with landing an airplane. Sometimes you hit a home run, and sometimes you strike out. And I had one this last trip, and it was coming in. It was a beautiful flight. Everything was nice and smooth, and I was very happy with the way I flew the airplane. And I'm thinking people are going to be impressed with this. And you never think that.
No.
I'm going at 50, 40, 30 in the flare, and I'm starting to pull back to start to break the rate of descent to make a nice, just a greaser landing. 20, 10. I mean, it was like continuing at the same rate, and I'm like going, well, why is it not slowing down? Why is this man saying these numbers so fast?
Mm-hmm.
And in other words, I'm continuing to come to the runway very, very quickly, and then bam, pretty hard. And I'm thinking, why didn't it flare? And I don't know why. It just was one of those things, and it was at LaGuardia. So LaGuardia is kind of it's a hard airport to land at anyway because it's a short runway and everything else. But it was just a beautifully flown expressway visual approach and everything else, and I ended it with an exclamation point. The wrong kind of exclamation.
Yeah.
So I got on the PA and said, "Ladies and gentlemen," as we're taxiing in, "Ladies and gentlemen, there's a Captain Crash here, and after that landing, it's be careful opening up those overhead bins because sure as heck those things are going to be all messed up." I try to interject some humor there. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What can I say? Sometimes maybe when you start to need a little humility, you get a little humility.
And that's true. It really does keep you humble. And just when you think you've figured it all out, God reminds you, or your airplane, or maybe it's God working through your airplane, reminds you that, you know what, you think you're a really hot pilot, but you're not.
Usually happens to me with job interviews.
Oh, really?
When I think I nailed that job interview, and then I don't get the offer or anything.
That's fun. When I was in the Air Force and I wanted to fly for Acme Airlines, Delta Airlines, and many of the people in my office were, big fans of Delta Airlines, and that was like the number one airline to get hired by back in the late 80s, and it still is, by the way. And one of the guys in the office just, he ate, drank, slept Delta Airlines. He had a bumper sticker on the back of his car that said "Fly Delta." I mean, he was really into it. He went to Atlanta for his interview, came back. He said, "Man, I think it really, really went well." He just was very, very excited about this interview. And so a week goes by, he hasn't heard anything. Another week goes by, and then finally at the end of that second week, he gets the call. And it wasn't a call to accept employment at the airline. It wasn't a call to say, "I'm sorry, but we don't need you," or "We're not offering you a job."
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, I've never seen such dejection I felt so horrible for this guy. And the other thing that I really felt bad about is because I knew that in a couple months that was going to be me, and I was very enthusiastic about getting hired by Delta Airlines, and I'm thinking, this guy, if Delta had asked me, I said, "Oh yeah, hire this guy. He's great. He's because I work with him, he's a great pilot." And I'm thinking, what in the world didn't they like about him? And then, to see him have to go out to the parking lot and peel that bumper sticker off his car was just making me cry. So I'm thinking, wait a minute. So I'm hearing a lot of these anecdotal stories from people going to interviews, and it seems like people that really felt good about their interview were the ones that weren't getting hired, and the ones that felt horrible, like they'd really screwed it up, were the ones who were getting hired. So when I went to do my interview, I thought it went well. It's awful. I think it really went well. But, obviously they thought so too, and they hired me. So thank you, God.
It's situations like that that go against my natural Irish tendencies. I don't know if you've never noticed this about Irish people, but if you ask them how things are going, they almost always say, "Oh, okay." So they take the middle road, right? So that if things are actually go better than that, then it's like a bonus, woohoo! Or if things go less than that, then it's like, yeah, I kind of expected that. So you kind of take the middle ground.
Well, that's not actually a bad place to plant yourself. Right? Because if you're always at the high end of the thing, then chances are you're going to get
disappointments hurt a whole lot more.
Oh well. So how you been?
I've been all right. It was a busy week, and it's turning out to be a cooler than normal August here. We've already had several days of rain, and the temperatures have not been over 90, 92, 93, 94. Mm-hmm. And this time of year, is when we would typically be having 110, and be dry. But
now you do like hot weather, but not super hot weather.
I don't mind it. It's the humidity that I have trouble with. I don't care if it's 100 degrees outside if it's not 50% humidity.
It's been drier this summer, right?
Not here. We've had lots of rain. We're still in a drought though, but we've had more rain than usual.
That's probably because the land can only take so much water, right? Or not? Here in Atlanta, it's been a pretty mild summer as well. But all around the country, here in the United States anyway, it seems like overall it's been a pretty mild summer. And I know it seems like the opposite over in Europe. I remember watching Father Roderick's show, and he's like sweating up a storm and got fans going and everything else.
Well, yeah, they don't have the air conditioning that we have here.
That's true. That's true. And go ahead.
I was going to say, I almost dread going to the grocery store because it's about 50 degrees inside. And so you walk in from 100 to 50, and then I freeze to death. And then when I walk outside, I get hit with this blast of heat, and it's like I almost hate going into those situations where the air conditioner's too good.
Well, if you came to visit the Nielsen household this summer, you'd feel like you were in that store with the freezer doors open. Yeah. My wife likes it cold, and in previous years, what we would do is we'd basically turn off the air conditioning during the day, and it'd get quite warm in the house during the day, and then the air conditioning system would run constantly all night long, trying to get the house cooled and everything else. And so I think Linda decided to take a different tact this year and just leave the air conditioning running, even during the daytime, and trying to keep it at as low a level as possible. And it's been in fact, for me, it's almost been too cold. But I have not. She's the one that pays the bill, so I'm not sure exactly how expensive our electricity bill is, but I sense that it's probably pretty big.
I don't know what the theories are on that. I guess it kind of depends on how well insulated your house is. Yeah. But keeping it cooler keeps it drier. The humidity, and then that should make it more comfortable. You should be able to set it at a little higher temperature and still feel the same.
And I know that we haven't had, in the past, when you run it all night long, we've had the problem of the Freon line kind of freezing up, and basically not having
working. Yeah.
And we have not yet, knock on wood. Well, that would be superstition, wouldn't it? I'm just a little bit stitious, not Michael Scott saying.
Well, those things are they're part of our manner of speaking. I don't think you're really superstitious. You just say those things.
Well, how do you know? I might be very superstitious.
Hey, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I'm not. That's just you're right. It's just one of those things. Knock on wood. We have not had a freeze up yet of our lockdown or whatever they call it on the air conditioning system. So, Lynn, I'm wondering if there's apparently nobody wants to be on our show. Now, Father Cory, We know you're there. Oh, by the way, John K. says that Wyoming is the cowboy state, Steve.
Well.
Okay, that's one of them.
Yeah, I mean I think that is their motto, but yeah.
Okay.
But we have cowboys too.
Well,
So
I mean,
Montana.
One of them is the Sunshine State, right? Is that New Mexico, the Sunshine State? No, that's the
No, that's Florida.
Well, anyway, other states have sunshine too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Oklahoma's motto is the Sooner State, which I really don't like. But
yeah, I can see why, because that school that will not be named.
Well, that and the whole concept of a Sooner is negative. Sooners were people who snuck in and stole their land before it was open up for settlement. They were sooner than they were supposed to be, and so they're outlaws.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't particularly like that as a motto for our state.
Okay. Hey, Lynn says we have one taker.
Sweet.
Joanne is going to join us, so we'll
Joanne.
Anxiously or eagerly, not anxiously. I'm not anxious about this at all. I'm eager to hear from Joanne. So Mercier or Mercier. We'll get her to pronounce her last name. Let me make sure I have the music ready for her coming on.
Oh, you're not gonna use the default, are you?
Yeah. Well, I could use something else.
Let's be nice to our guests.
Okay. I think I like that. It's a nice tune.
Well, it could be worse. There are worse tunes. There are certain Disney songs which I really abhor.
Do you? Like what?
I'm not going to even bring it up.
Okay, we could play this. Talking about Steve Nelson and Papua New Guinea. That was when we were doing the update. Steve Nelson. PMG update.
Wish I could have done one from there somehow.
Yeah, that's too bad. I know you worked really hard to try to get internet.
Yeah.
There. Oh, Joanne. Do you? Monday morning Catholic. Can you hear me, Joanne? We could play this. Oh, she has a window open with the Hangouts. We got Steve Nelson and Papua New Guinea. That was when we. That was when we were doing the update. Steve Nelson.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting a double whammy here. You need to close that window.
Yeah, she hasn't heard me say yet to close that window.
We need to have a little sign ready.
Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you. We hear you on your built-in microphone, I believe. But it sounds like you finally have the window that we were in closed. You can't hear me?
Me? Nothing. Hold on. Hold on.
That was when we were doing the update. Steve Nelson.
Edit.
Can you hear me, gentlemen?
Heard me say yes.
We can hear you.
But we hear you need to find that video, the Catholic Weekend video, and you need to close that window. The window that we were in closed.
Hope so. Okay, now I have it closed.
Okay, now can you hear us live?
Can't hear you at all.
Okay. Okay, in your Hangout window, up here.
At the very top.
At the top.
But I'm not sure. Hold on.
Settings.
I can.
This might be why we don't do this.
Can you hear me now, gentlemen?
Yeah,
Yes.
we hear you. We've heard you all along.
Nothing.
Can you hear? I don't know if she can hear us. Can you hear us?
You can hear us.
No.
Well, we'll talk about Joanne. She does a show, and I think she kind of uses the same technology, Google Hangouts, called Monday Morning Catholic. And you can...
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
At all?
Can you hear us?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, huh?
Yeah,
Shoot.
we hear you.
You can hear me.
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Well...
That's problematic.
Yes.
Oh. No.
Check your. She can't. I would say check your Hangout settings. I would write her a note if I had something to write on.
Yeah.
Let's see.
she's fiddling with some wires, and hopefully one of those wires will be the correct one so she can actually hear us. So, okay, looks like Lynn says that
Can you
Father
hear me
Cory.
now?
Yeah, we can still hear you.
You're hearing me, but I'm not hearing a darn thing. Darn.
Okay. Check your settings.
Come on, baby. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you. And I don't know what I need to be reconnecting here. I may just go to display totally. That might be my best bet at this point.
I don't know.
I can just pull everything.
It's not going to be a good conversation, Joanne, if you can't hear us. So, adjust your setting, the little setting.
I don't know. Can
Well,
you
anyway.
read this? Can you read this? Can you?
Check. There we go. Check Hangout setting.
Okay.
I love it. Here,
Oh, now we can't hear you at all.
check your Hangout settings
The little gear at the top.
at the top
He thinks there's going to be some editing in this.
window. Yes, there is. You know, she should know this because I think they use Hangouts on air. And you can go to MondayMorningCatholic.net to find out more about the show, Monday Morning Catholic. And hey, Joanne, I'm sorry. I think we're going to have to go ahead and leave you in the dust.
Oh.
Sorry, but I think that's okay. So, for those of you listening to the audio, wow, this is not very entertaining. Or maybe it is. But Father Cory, he's going to be coming as well, so that's
okay.
lovely.
Well, maybe,
that's lovely.
Maybe I'll have a better shot at
Yeah,
it.
well, Father Cory has got a good setup, and as Joanne does as well. But anyway, just the all the little switches and knobs and everything else were.
Well, you know, Jeff, you know all about all those little knobs and switches
Yeah.
and how things get screwed up because it happens to you all the time.
I have a lot of experience screwing things up.
Can you hear me now, gentlemen?
Yes, we always have.
It figures.
Okay, well, we hear you on your internal microphone.
Is that okay, or?
Okay, obviously you can hear us now.
Yes, I can.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And hi, we have Father Cory as well. Hello.
Hello, can you hear
both.
me?
Yes.
Hey, Father Cory.
Morning.
Thank you both for joining us. I'm excited.
Do you want me to get rid of the lower third?
It doesn't matter to me. You can do whatever you'd like, darling.
Okay. Just because none of you have it, so.
I just forgot to do it.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it either. So.
Okay.
Everybody knows who I am, but I'm glad you had it up there, Joanne, because it had your MondayMorningCatholic.net URL, and I was tell us about Monday Morning Catholic.
Oh, Monday Morning Catholic. It's that little podcast that can. Every Monday morning we look at the previous weekend's homilies and scripture and try to make some sense out of it. Plus, we also do technology, liturgy, and that's why I was saying I don't know if you saw it in the chat room, but Captain Jeff, you were almost right last week with the Our Father. There was an embolism in there somewhere. It's the words, "Deliver us, Lord, from every evil." That's the embolism, and then the doxology is for the kingdom, the power, and the glory. And Father Cory, I'm correct, am I not?
Yep, you're absolutely correct.
Oh, so
It's actually called an embolism?
I wasn't
Yes,
completely.
it is.
I wasn't completely out to lunch on that.
No, you weren't. You know, the liturgist over here has to pipe up and say, yes, you were partially correct.
I've never heard the word embolism used in that context. That's wow.
Yeah. Did you hear everybody on the show giving me a bad time about using that term?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, and that's why I needed to say something, but I didn't get a chance to get any voicemail out, so.
We'd probably give you a hard time even if you were correct, Jeff.
That's
This
true.
is true. This is true.
Embolism.
So yeah, Monday Morning Catholic, what they do, Father Cory, is they listen to homilies, and then they rank them. And have you listened to any Father Cory's homilies and giving it? What's his ranking?
Well, we're not ranking per se. Okay, we're not going to sit there and do a board of this one and that one. No, what we're just trying to do is, especially for Catholics who may hear the same thing week after week, try to bring them something a little bit different, a different angle. Maybe somebody touched on something, because not every homilist can touch on everything in a homily. And correct me if I'm wrong, Father Cory.
Oh, absolutely. So it's a good thing then you don't have a big board you put up, heresy, wishy-washy, really solid. No.
Are you kidding?
No, you know what
do you know how much trouble I would get into if that happened, something like that?
I could see somebody trying to do that, believe me.
No. We are here to help in the new evangelization, not to hurt it.
Very good, very good.
Well, we should say that Joanne is located in the Providence diocese, right?
I live in the Diocese of Providence. I work now for the Archdiocese of Boston.
Okay.
Wow.
So I just got a job.
Correct.
Yeah, congratulations.
Terrific.
So I'm in the Archdiocese of Boston now at a lovely little 3-parish collaborative called the Cranberry Catholic Cranberry. Wow, how do they call it? Cranberry Catholic Collaborative.
Huh.
Believe it or not, Middleborough, Rochester, and Lakeville, Massachusetts.
Wow.
So have you gone over to listen to and rank Father Jay Finelli's homilies?
He was my neighbor in my last position, and no, I would not do that. I'm telling you, we're not ranking people here. We don't want to.
I'm telling you,
rumors get started.
There's a secret list that that I'm on that they give those rankings, and it's really awful. Not very charitable at all. No, I'm just kidding. So you should check. And the interesting thing about the Monday Morning Catholic show is that usually, you study the scripture and that kind of thing before the Sunday's worship, and then so you're kind of prepared for it and everything else. But you kind of do the opposite. You kind of turn it upside down and talk about it after the fact.
Yeah, and we felt there were a lot of podcasts that were doing the preparatory stuff, so we figured we'd do the aftermath, the unpacking part, and that probably comes out of my experience and my colleagues' Linda Reed experience of being in the RCIA process, working with them. So we kind of felt that the unpacking was just as important as the prep. So if people are prepping and then unpacking, well, they're really ahead of the game. So we're trying to catch them on both sides, actually.
That's a great concept. So how's it going? Is it going well?
Like I said, we're the little podcast that can. We're trying our best to gain an audience. You probably know how that is.
We don't have an audience, so no, I don't know.
You probably know how that is. But no, we're doing okay. I think we're hovering around 100 as far as subscribers and stuff, and that's not bad. We'll take whatever we can get. We just come together. We do it on Sunday nights. We come together. We have our little fun. We've done a couple of special things, like when the folks were at the convention last month, we did some composer interviews and stuff. So we're doing the best we can.
Well, I think it's a great effort that you're doing, and I'm sure that it's going to be successful, and you're gonna grow and grow and grow.
Thank you. I hope so.
And everybody listening to this show after the fact can go over to your website, mondaymorningcatholic.net, and check it out. I think you'll be glad that you did. So, Father Cory, why don't you go ahead and give us a little preview of your homily for later today and tomorrow, and we'll go ahead and grade it.
Oh, sure, put me on the spot. Let's just say it's in preparation.
Okay. In other words, you haven't even looked at it yet.
I've looked at it. I just have no idea what I'm going to preach on yet. So.
Hey,
it's only Saturday morning. I mean, it's time.
I still have, let's see, 5:30. Oh, heck, I still got a good 9 hours or so before I have to give it, so plenty of time.
You a procrastinator? I know that I am.
Oh, yeah. I'm terrible about that. And usually those Saturdays is when I actually sit down and write up my homily. That's kind of the time when it works the best. Actually, right after Catholic Weekend is usually when I sit down and write up my homilies.
Let's get all your inspiration from our show.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, here's what you don't do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to talk about that. That really bombed. It was a train wreck on that.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe you can encompass this little clip into your homily tomorrow.
Pope Francis is back in the news. That's right. Now he's calling on young people to get off the internet and cell phones and start doing something productive with their lives. Then teens were like, how do you think we saw you say that? Think you hang out in the Vatican all day? So, I mean, you're kidding, man.
My oldest daughter records on the DVR the Jimmy Fallon, the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and I think that was from the show a couple nights ago. And we usually watch it while we're eating dinner, which is probably not a good thing. We should probably be having conversation and stuff. But instead, we watch Jimmy Fallon, and so that was part of his monologue. So, what do you think about that? You know, Pope Francis stated, as Jimmy Fallon just said, that the young folks need to get away from their electronic devices and start doing things in the world. I think it's probably a good idea.
All things in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I think he's dead on. You know, and I know I've been guilty of it as well. How many times do I spend with this thing stuck in front of my face? You know, and it's like you go from one screen to the next. Okay, you're watching TV, and then you go to the computer, and then you got to get and do something. So you grab the cell phone and go and take care of that, and come back, and it's just, and yeah, I mean, I think the Pope's absolutely right on that. We need to be as good as the internet is, and as good as things like what we're doing here and what other podcasts are doing are good. You still have to get out and do something. You know, there's still the aspect of actual physical labor. You know, if you're the new evangelization, for example, isn't just internet stuff. Now, I know that's been a good focus to try to kind of rally the troops, if you will, and to get the message out there. But the new evangelization is also getting out and talking to people face to face. John Paul II said that, Pope Benedict said that, and Pope Francis as well is saying that. There's both, that we've got to have, we can use the podcast to get the message out, but in the long run, you're still going to be face to face, and things like when people come to your parish, are they going to feel welcomed? Are they going to see everybody doing this? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. These podcasts they're easy to do. They're fun to do. Mm-hmm. It's we can say, yeah, I'm doing my part in the new evangelization. But what's hard for me? It's hard for me to say to someone, a friend or acquaintance that is not Catholic, hey, why don't you join me on Sunday? Come to church with me and worship in our church. It's hard to break that barrier or get over that hurdle for me.
Exactly. Or even more difficult for some people. Hey, let's go to the soup kitchen and go volunteer for a meal.
Right.
Let's go donate our time to St. Vincent de Paul Society. Let's something where we're actually helping people directly.
Right.
It's one thing to put out that call in a podcast. It's another thing to actually go and walk and help them.
Yeah, I think Pope Francis has mentioned similar things several times, and it's about getting up, going out, and being face to face. I think that's it. And it's tough, like you said, but I think it's finding the ways to do it in appropriate and safe ways. If you're living in a inner city or something, right. I wouldn't suggest going down to Skid Row and without some preparation. But there are lots of other ways you can do it. The lonely person in the grocery store, just saying hello to him can be a form of outreach.
Absolutely.
I work in my day job with the digital natives because I'm a DRE. So knowing the technology is good for me to be able to engage them. So if I tell them I do a podcast, now all of a sudden they're out of their phone and saying, "You do what?"
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. At least it gets me in the door with them. But as a digital immigrant, I think it's a little bit easier for me to put this down because I grew up with other things to learn how to occupy my time in social interaction and stuff. The digital natives, it's really tough for them because this is what they have from the time they can, the parent puts it right in front of them.
Yeah.
And there they go. So it's going to be a little bit harder for them, and I'm glad Pope Francis is trying to make them aware of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, how many kids do you see even at Mass where the parents will throw an iPad at them?
Yep.
And it's got all the little kiddie games, And, in some ways that's good because it's a way to help them learn. But, again, it's getting them to the point where that technology is always there. And I'm right on that borderline. We've almost always had computers and game systems and things like that. So I'm really right at that borderline where I've always kind of grown up with it as well. But
I remember the days of orange amber monitors.
Oh, yeah.
With just little words on them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember typewriters too.
Oh, I had learned on those.
Yeah.
Then I moved over to computers.
Yep. I don't suppose they have the typing classes that I took in high school, A, B, 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 B.
Not anymore.
No, I tell you, learning how to type was one of the best skills I've ever developed, because I don't even think about it.
I wish I'd taken a typing course. I never did, so I'm an advanced hunt and peck.
2 fingers per hand.
That's also a skill these days. If you have like an iPad or something, the keyboard is not really set up for touch typing.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not.
So you have the hunt and peck method.
Some of these people with
making a comeback.
Like using their 2 thumbs, and they're going. I'm thinking, wow, that is amazing. That's talent.
Autocorrect.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but then their texts show up on that darn autocorrect website.
Yeah.
Oh dear, that's right. I remember when I was teaching high school and they could do it on their phones. That I still couldn't figure out. How do you do that on your phone when each one of those buttons has 3 or 4 characters to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they would do it under the desk, no less.
Yeah. Looking. Wow.
Without looking.
My nephew does that. Yeah, I remember I was with my nephew when he was in high school, and I was trying to keep track, and I think he really did about 100 texts in a day. I still was like, man, A, expensive, and B is like, I'm kind of impressive, but really, put it away. Because it was always at meals he was doing it most of the time.
But this does go back to what Pope Francis was saying, because I'm sure we've all seen teenagers. They're sitting in the same room and they're texting each other.
Yes.
They're not even looking up from the phone to talk. And I know that's kind of a stereotype, but I know we've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how they do that. I haven't. You're right there.
Yeah.
At the dinner table, even.
We're all showing our age here.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm trying to have a conversation with someone and they're like looking down at their phone or they're doing something with their phone while they're talking to me, I'll just kind of stop and just look at them and wait until I know that they're
paying attention.
I always tell my nephew that we're going to do the phone stacking thing when we go out to eat. And you pick up the phone, you pay in the bill.
Ooh. Like that.
So far I'm 100% at paying the bill because he has enough restraint that he doesn't do that. So.
Oh, you should get somebody to call him or text him during the meal.
Yeah, really.
Ooh. You wouldn't do that.
No. No. To get out of paying for a meal? Maybe. Well, anyway, I sense a lull, which means, of course, that it's time for us to take a little bit of a break and talk about how you can support. We've been talking about the new evangelization and new media and SQPN's part in it, which is shows like this. And we have a whole bunch of great SQPN-produced shows, as well as a fantastic lineup of affiliate podcasters as well. So you should check them out by heading over to SQPN.com. If you'd like to support us financially, you can do that as well by heading over to SQPN.com. And you can either look on the page for the Become a Friend of SQPN, or you can just go straight to SQPN.com/donate. And there you can find out the various options available to you to become a regular donor to our network. Now, If you don't want to do that, you don't want to make quite that commitment, but you do a lot of online shopping, let's say Amazon.com, well, you can help us out there too by heading, again, over to our website and clicking on the Amazon banner, and any purchase that you make after you've clicked on that thing, I think it lasts for about 24 hours, you will be helping us because we'll get a small portion of that purchase, and it really adds up over time. So, yeah, if you're going to do some shopping on Amazon, please try to remember to go to SQPN first, click on that banner, or make it a bookmark or a favorite or whatever your browser calls it, and that way every time you punch that little bookmark, it'll take you right to the affiliated version of Amazon. And the prices are all the same. You're not going to pay any more. It's just that Amazon takes a little bit less from their profit and gives it to us. And then finally, if you are someone like Steve who has his own website, and of course if you have your own website, you need hosting. And Bluehost is one that we highly recommend. They're partners with us. And again, at our website, head over to or click on the Bluehost banner, and there sign up with Bluehost, and it'll really help out SQPN. Somebody's dropping something upstairs. I'm not sure if you heard that or not. Anyway, hope you're okay up there. Okay, so let's turn Alan Marchand, Puxatani Phil, the name of that.
Good stuff.
And we'll turn him down, and we'll get back here to our show.
Captain Jeff, can I interject something?
Sure.
If you go to smile.amazon.com, I think you can actually sign up for your charity, and that way you get a little, I know on Chrome, you get a little widget, and every time you hit it, you go right to Smile.
Oh.
And your charity.
And that's any 501c3 charity can sign up for that. So that even includes parishes, if their parish is set up properly. I'm trying to figure out how to get the parishes set up properly. Ours isn't yet. But yeah, any 501c3 charity that has a tax ID number can go through Smile. And I think Father Roderick did say that SQPN is on that as well.
Yes, you're right. In fact, I usually have that little message that pops up when I go to Amazon, and it says, "You want to use Smile?" I'm not sure if it's restricting the number of products or not. I'm not sure.
There are limited number.
Limited? Okay. So,
now this is Amazon, so limited is, it's only 1 million instead of 2 million.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't remember the exact number, but I think it's only items fulfilled by Amazon, and I'm sure it's only items that Amazon gets a healthy profit off of.
Okay. Yeah, because there are a lot of vendors that Amazon uses, though. When you buy something, it's going to be fulfilled by this company, so they probably are part of it.
I haven't had a problem with anything I've bought through that, so
Right.
I guess it's not as limited as it sounds.
Good to know. Okay, thank you, Joanne, for bringing that up. That's a good point you're making about Smile. Smile. Okay, so let's see, what else? Things aren't going so well over there in Iraq with what ISIS stands for. I hate to bring the show down a little bit, but I think it's just worth mentioning, and we have on this show mentioned it before, but I just noticed in the news that the Pope Francis is sending an envoy from the Vatican over to Iraq to try to see what they can do about this very, very dire situation over there for Christians in many of the large cities in Iraq.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Don't you love it? Jinx. No. It's sad that some of these are places where Christians have lived literally since the time of the apostles, literally since the beginning. There may very well have been actual apostles who wandered through these areas preaching the gospel, and now there's places like Mosul, there's no Christians left, or if they are, they have gone so deep underground, we won't find them they're just hiding.
Right.
And it's sad that it's been allowed to happen. And I know there's arguments of whether or not the U.S. should get involved, whether or not, what we could have done better as we left Iraq. I mean, that setting that all aside, it's just from a humanitarian standpoint, the fact that this organization was able to come in and basically just sweep the floor with the Iraqi military was pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've mentioned it on our podcast for prayers especially, but I mean, I just keep thinking of the fact that this is where Abraham lived and walked through, and when you think of Nineveh and you think of all those biblical places, and they're just totally being destroyed by folks who don't share the same view that we have in God. It's just amazing that it took so long for the Western world to figure it out.
Yeah.
That something was happening over there and that we might need to help them. I'm not with the group that says it's a little too late. Any help at any time is great. But I just wish we had woken up a little bit sooner, because maybe we could have spared some people.
Right. And you hear the stories of they literally had to leave with the clothes on their back, because even if they tried to load up their car, the militants would take everything.
Yeah.
Just send them on their feet. And, how many people, it is a desert out there, and this is the hottest time of the year out there, and how many people perhaps were killed just, they dehydrated basically out in the middle of that desert. They starved to death and they dehydrated out in the middle of that desert and never made it, and we'll never find them. And so, how many people compared to those who did get to safety?
Yeah, the one thing that's bothering me, though, on social media is that there are some incorrect footage and articles being posted, and how hard is it for us to figure out which ones are real and pertain to right now, and which ones, like, I keep going to Snopes all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this real? Is this not real? Is this, are they really doing this right now? Because we're not getting a lot of, these are not people who have social media and can, film something and send it back to us on YouTube. They're not. So there's a lot of misconception going on around it too. I don't know how. Prayer, I think, is about the best thing we can do at this point, and try to make as many people aware in this side of the world that it's happening and for the reason that it's happening.
Exactly.
I saw a photo of the destruction and just awful. I'm trying to think of the
desecration.
Desecration. Thank you. Of the grave of Jonah, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just awful. That's history that's just being destroyed.
Right. Some of the churches are 1,800 years old. I mean.
Yep. Either destroyed or turned into mosques. And when you look at places like the Hagia Sophia, once it's a mosque, it's not going to become a church, because that's kind of a tenet of Islam. Is once it's Islamic, it's Islamic.
Right.
They don't let it go. The idea of selling a mosque and turning it into a church, that doesn't happen. They destroy it.
So what do? You're a Christian over there, and you're faced with the conversion to Islam, paying the tax, or dying, or getting out of there as fast as you can. Let's say, what if a Christian, basically declares that they're declaring their faith in Islam, but secretly lives a life of a Christian? I mean, I wonder, Father Cory, what is the implication for one's soul when that happens? Do you know?
I kind of think back to the Roman Empire, when they were, Christians were basically faced with the same choice: either you deny the atheistic religion of Christianity and go back to the gods, or you die. And there were some Christians who stood firm in their faith, and we call them martyrs today, obviously. Others did that. And it was a big struggle in the church back then. I think there is the concern of apostasy when someone does that they have left the Christian faith, even if they're doing it, putting the appearance. Because I'm sure there were those in the Roman Empire who did sprinkle the incense at the throne of Zeus or wherever. And sorry, I think that's actually the Greek version of it. But anyways, same difference, but was still Christian. And to honestly, I really don't know what they would say, because to say that you're Islam then would mean then they would expect them to go to the prayers, would expect them to follow Ramadan, would expect them, and so on, the fasts and such. And not everything is completely opposed to Christianity. The idea of what is it, Ramadan's 40 days fast or whatever is not completely opposed to Christianity, but other things are. The Quran and so on is not exactly a Christian book.
No.
So I think there would be the danger there of actual apostasy, even if they in their heart were saying, well, I'm really still a Christian. The fact they did the public witness to becoming Islam could bring that scandal about.
Right.
Now, that being said, it's easy for us as we're sitting here in the United States where, yeah, we have our struggles with religious freedom, but it's nothing like what they're dealing with. We aren't going to have a group of gunmen knocking on our doors saying, "Convert or die."
Right.
And there are some true martyrs over there, to be sure.
Yes, there is.
As well as probably some of those that have capitulated, out of fear. Yeah.
And we don't know what the state of a person's soul is. I mean, only God knows, and until they breathe their last breath here as mortals, we don't really know what is going to happen with their soul. We can kind of have some ideas about what we think, but we could be absolutely wrong.
Yeah, and that's not to say they can't have a reversion. They can't come back. They can't repent from that. That was one of the big arguments in the early church as well. Those who went over back to the Roman religion and then wanted to come back, could they come back? And ultimately the church said, absolutely, and we should welcome them with open arms. And that's always the question. So
as usual, this is not the first time that something like this has happened in history, and it probably will not be the last.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
I guess I like to think of, maybe because I've seen way too many movies, I like to think of the version of that there would be folks who would portray on the outside that they were adhering, but on the inside trying to find as many people as they could and either help them or keep the faith alive. And I could see the catacomb. I can understand probably going back to the catacombs in Iraq, just their version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're going to be underground and trying to survive as Christians, and when they come up, try to look like they're part of Islam.
Yeah.
That's got to be a terrible way to live.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, again, as I said, I didn't mean to bring the tone of the show down so far, but I just thought it was worth having a discussion about it. And I guess the most important thing we can do right now is to keep that country and other countries around the world, peoples around the world, that is, in our prayers, and to pray to God to give them strength to make it through whatever adversity and trials they're going through. So our prayers go out to all of those who are in Iraq and elsewhere. Well, you know what that means. Or you know what this means. And I know that both you, Joanne, and Father had not planned on being the show, but it never really makes a difference to me. I never plan to have a pick of the week, or sometimes I do, occasionally. But anyway, so if you can think of something off the top of your head, feel free to, and if not, you can just do what I do and say, yeah, got nothing. But, so let's start with Steve, because I know that he has a pick of the week. He always does.
Well, don't always, but I do this time.
Okay.
I had the occasion to look at the website for the Diocese of Sacramento in California, and I was reading the vision statement that the bishop has published there, and I tell you, it's a great thing to read if you like that sort of thing. Kind of looking at the plan that a bishop has for his diocese. This is an audacious one, and it's one that is really inspiring. So my pick of the week is go to the Diocese of Sacramento website and look for the bishop's vision statement and see what he's got planned for his diocese, and I think it's awesome. I think anybody that works for a diocese could use that as an example of of things that they could bring to their own diocese. So that's my pick.
Wow, what a tease! Now we have to go and look at it because
go look for it. I mean, I could sit there and quote it, but it's I don't know. It's like 20 pages long.
Well played, Steve. Well played. Awesome. Okay, great. The mission statement from the Diocese of Sacramento in the lovely, and you know what's lovely about Sacramento is that that's the word sacrament.
Mm-hmm.
Named. Yes. All right. Would any of our
you mean those of us who are quickly trying to scroll through anything that we can find right now?
Well, actually, I got two, so
let me go first because that way I won't forget, and maybe somebody else won't, have the same pick, and then they'll have to, scurry about trying to find something else. My pick, and this is a cop out, but I'm going to do it anyway. Monday Morning Catholic, a great Joanne. Is it Mercier or Mercier?
Mercier.
Mercier. And again, MondayMorningCatholic.net. Check it out. And so there you go. That's my pick of the week. Aha.
Thank you.
Sure. Father Cory.
I actually have two, believe it or not. First one is Friday is a holy day of obligation. It's the Feast of the Assumption. So get to Mass on Friday. Beautiful feast. The Assumption is always a beautiful feast to celebrate. The Feast of Our Lady entering into heaven, becoming the Queen of heaven and earth. So do make sure to get to Mass on Friday and celebrate that beautiful feast.
I think you're making quite an assumption there.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Don't crash.
Yeah, where's my rim shot?
I need to have that recorded somewhere.
I have one somewhere. It's just finding a pile of stuff,
Don't encourage him.
Yeah. Secondly,
too late.
Yeah. Secondly, myself and a couple of parishioners are going to a conference in Denver here in a couple of weeks called Amazing Parish, amazingparish.org. It's a conference that's put on actually by a group of businessmen who said, let's get people from parishes together with nationally known speakers, and let's try to hash out what is an amazing parish. And speakers are people like Jeff Cavins, of the Bible Timeline fame. Musician Matt Maher will be there. The priest and his associate, lay associate who wrote the Rebuilt will be there. So they're getting people together, and it's like a 2-day packed conference with just talks, and at the end, according to the program, is kind of get together and brainstorm. What can we use from this at our parish? So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Denver's close enough. We're going to kind of road trip down there. But and get down there and spend a couple of days and hopefully learn some great stuff. So my second pick is the Amazing Parish.
Well, you don't want to miss that. Perish the thought.
Yeah, oh boy, you're on a roll.
I wish I had my stuff together because I could get that rim shot.
Well, I'm trying to. You got to hear. Everybody, be quiet for a second.
There we go.
There it is.
I had to say something really corny so I could do a rim shot. So.
There you go.
Okay. Well, thank you, Father Cory. Amazing Parish and the Holy Day of Obligation, the Assumption, and it has not been what do they call it? Moved, abrogated. Is that the right word?
Nope.
Wow, that's great.
Yep. Yeah. Surprisingly, usually if it's on Friday they do it, but for the Assumption they didn't.
Okay. Well, let's go and do that on Friday. Excellent. Thank you, Father Cory. And Joanne, do you have something for us?
Okay, I would be remiss if I didn't plug one of my colleagues' husband's sites. It is Hearing the Word, and what he does every week is he puts out the scriptures ahead of time. He's a professor. His name is Patrick Reed. He's a professor at Providence College, and you can find it at Patrick, V as in Victor, Reed, REID.blogspot.com. This is where we get most of our information for our own podcast, and I'd be remiss if I didn't tell everybody about it. He writes some really scholarly stuff, and it's good for the regular folk as well. And I do have another one. This is one I think folks should take a look at, even though you can't really use it right now because the convention's over, but it's the NPM Convention Booklet app. It's by Digital Hermosa. And Digital Hermosa is a small company headed by actually another friend of mine, and I didn't know he was doing this, but he wrote this app for the NPM convention. You know, when we go to these conventions and seminars, the big books they give us, and then we got to figure out what to do with them after the convention's over, because he put it in digital form, complete with links, complete with how big the rooms were in the venue, how many they would fit, including how to rate the workshop when it's over. And I think if a lot of people get a look at this, they may want to use this for their own conventions and seminars, and he's really good about working with folks, large and small, how to put something like that together. So it might be useful to folks out there. So it's called the NPM Convention Booklet app. You can only find it in the iTunes App Store. It's not for Android, sorry, but it's I'm sorry, the best stuff comes from Apple.
So you're saying MPM? I don't know what that stands for.
Oh, National Association of Pastoral Musicians.
Oh, okay. And
yeah, I've been part of NPM for 30 some odd years. I just figure everybody knows what it is now. It's the National Association of Pastoral Musicians. He did this convention booklet for the association, but I think it's something that any association would be I would be encouraged to take a look at and then have him do it for theirs, because it's better to carry around an iPad than an iPad, books, and you know how you are when you go to those conventions. Your Father Cory knows. He's shaking his head. He's been
oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
except for I've got the better platform, Android, but that's all right.
Oh, those are fighting words, Father. I drank the Kool-Aid on Apple about 4 or 5 years ago, and
we're a big church. We're a big church.
Oh no, Steve. There's some boundaries here. You know, love you all.
Oh.
Well, then I fall on the Apple side, Father.
Well, if it's any consolation, I am staring at an iMac, so. Okay.
That's okay. You can be a hybrid. It's fine.
Very ecumenical of you, Father.
Yes.
Well, speaking of conventions, many have been asking about if there is any news regarding the Catholic New Media Convention, CNMC conference, actually, not convention, because we're not conventional. No.
Oh.
People. Anyway, conference next year, the Jubilee. CNMC in 2015, and we're working on it. We haven't forgotten. We're still there are a lot of things going on in the background, and we're still trying to nail down a venue and a date. And I know many of you are eager to hear, when it's going to be, so that they can start making their plans. So I promise you, as soon as we have something definitive, we'll announce it on this show and Father Roderick's shows as well. So just stay tuned. The suspense builds.
As long as I can take a train to it, I don't fly.
I like your style, but I like taking the train.
I'm afraid of train too.
Take a freight train.
Yeah. Speaking of trains and train wrecks, I wasn't ready with it. Here we go.
Watch out!
I always pushed the wrong one. Uh-oh. It's a train wreck. Pressing the train wreck button.
There you go.
That was from the Steven Spielberg directed movie. What was the name of it? Something about kids and. Oh, Super 8, I think.
Oh.
Anyway, so it is time now to end our show, and as we usually do, we go through and see if we can get some more information about our guests and hosts. Father Cory, since on my screen you're on the far left, so we'll start with you. How can we learn more about Father Cory and some of the stuff that you do online?
Well, my website is where I post my homilies usually is frcory.org, And I'm on the Twitters, Facebook, Google Plus, Instagram as Fr Cory Stica, and my last name is spelled Sticha.
Excellent. And on my show, I did pronounce your last name correctly.
You got it right on. Got it right on.
Okay, thank you, Father, for coming on short notice. It's always a pleasure. And
always fun.
Joanne, we've mentioned it over and over and over again.
Over again.
So what else would you like to say? How else can we learn more about that great apostolate?
Well, you can find us at MondayMorningCatholic.net on the internet. We also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/MondayMorningCatholic. You can find me on Twitter as Ritual Diva. We won't go into that part today.
Well, you knew that I was correct when I said embolism.
Yes, I'm Ritual Diva, and where I'm working now, it's cranberrycatholic.org. And I'm actually director of religious education for Saints Martha and Mary Parish in Lakeville, Massachusetts. So I'll give them a plug, and I'll be doing a lot more on the website as we get going. But I have something called, religious education to plan for in like less than 3 or 4 weeks. So a little busy right now.
Oh, you record your show on Sunday nights, and that's usually available the following day on Monday?
Yeah, we will record on Sunday nights with very little fanfare, and then it's available right away on Monday morning. So I usually put it out. If you can download it on iTunes if you subscribe to it, which we'd love to have you do. But if you want to watch us, it's up on YouTube usually on Sunday night.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks again. And Steve.
Yes?
Tell us how we can follow you and learn more about your wonderful content.
Oh, well, just hop over to everythingesteban.com. Esteban, E-S-T-E-B-A-N. Everythingesteban.com. And join my photo challenge. It's been a little quiet over there. Haven't had many takers lately, so not sure this idea is working out. So
go hard.
What's that?
Making it too difficult. The assignment. Filial. What is it?
Filial. Oh, well, now I've forgotten what.
Trust or something like that, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. Filial trust.
Yeah, kind of like
but it's not that hard. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I guess not. Well, for people like me, it's kind of hard to understand what you mean.
Oh.
But anyway.
I didn't even write that one.
I know. That was Maria's fault.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right. So check it out by heading over to Everything Esteban. Esteban. I can't
Esteban.
.com.
Yeah.
And finally, if you're interested in aviation at all, I do an aviation podcast called Airline Pilot Guy, and you can find that at airlinepilotguy.com. And this last show, I got if you're into beautiful pipe organs, at the very beginning of my show, I talk about my visit with world-renowned organist Haig Martirosian, who is an excellent, creative, talented organist, and he is also the dean of the College of Arts and Letters at the University of Tampa. And he, after we went to dinner in Tampa, or Ybor City, we drove over to the University of Tampa, visited the the Sykes Chapel. The Skype Chapel, that's somewhere else.
Oh, that's interesting.
Microsoft land or something. But the Sykes Chapel, and in it is this absolutely beautiful Dobson pipe organ, and I got a little miniature concert. So if you want to hear a little snippet of that beautiful organ music, check out the last podcast I just published late last night, Airline Pilot Guy, episode number 129. And I also talk about the big air show here in the United States called Oshkosh, or actually it's called EAA Air Venture 2014. That just ended last week, and I had one of my listeners there send me some on-location, on-scene audio coverage. And so anyway, lots of stuff over there, lots of people asking questions about this and that, so check it out by heading over to airlinepilotguy.com. And remember, again, as Father Cory mentioned, this Friday is a holy day of obligation, as is every Sunday Don't forget, that's also a holy day of obligation. So make sure you're in your parish or wherever they're going to hold the Holy Day of Obligation Mass for the Assumption this Friday.
And could I ask a favor?
Yes, please.
As you're preparing for the Feast of the Assumption, maybe you could join Catholics in Oklahoma in a fast that we're doing. We've been asked to do a 9-day fast leading up to the Feast of the Assumption with prayer that the satanic black mass that's scheduled to be held in Oklahoma City will be canceled. So we're doing a meat fast for 9 days with prayer and
nice.
So hope maybe you could join us.
So we're like on day 2 or 3 right now.
Well, it started last Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's still not too late to join, right?
No, all prayer is good.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Excellent. And we could really use it. It's a very distressing thing that's going on.
If we could do it here up here in Boston, you can do it.
Yeah.
Down in Oklahoma, you can do it.
Yeah. If you follow Elizabeth Scalia, she has posted some recommendations, some things that the general public can do to help encourage the government, the local citizen officials to cancel it. So you might go over and look at some of the things that Elizabeth Scalia has been writing, either on Facebook or on Pathos.com.
Excellent. Always a great read. Okay. Well, thanks everyone again for joining us. All of you in the chat room, thanks for hanging out with us as you do every Saturday morning. And Lynn, thank you for being our call screener and also helping us out with the production and show notes of Catholic Weekend. As always, we love you. And I guess just enjoy the rest of your weekend and the week, and we'll look for you here next Saturday on Catholic Weekend. Take care, and God bless.
Bye.
Ciao for now.
Ta-ta. TTFN.
Yeah, I haven't heard that in years.
A blast from the past.
Just about.
Okay, well, so again, thanks for chiming in and being brave enough to answer the call to be on our Hangout on Air.
Yeah, I kind of did this without my makeup today, so guys,
Can't even tell.
I can't even talk. You can tell I haven't showered yet because my hair is, I got the cowlick going on here. But at least made sure to throw on the collar.
Yeah. There you go. I was just going into the chat room to talk about the embolism, and then she said, "Oh, gee, we need people," and I'm like, "Okay, sure, all right." And then none of my equipment worked, so it was just never mind.
Okay. Well, you use Hangouts, don't you, for your show?
Yeah, we do. I think what happened was I kept trying to hit the little wheel in the Google Plus Hangout, and all I could see was saved. Nothing else was coming, and how to change the display to what I would normally do. Oh. So that's what was happening. I was getting like a half screen, and I had to clock out and clock back in order to get it.
Oh, okay.
So by then I had said, forget it, I'm not even going to use this.
Well, it was great anyway, so thanks.
Well, thank you very much for plugging. I appreciate plugs, and I'm honored to be here amongst you wonderful people. I'm not worthy.
No, the pleasure and honor is all ours.
Exactly.
So, Father Cory, thanks again for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on and give us some kind of credibility.
I figure I kind of had to since I got called out, So, Father Cory, you are here. I know that.
Well, yeah, because we can see it in the chat room.
Yeah.
We know you have a webcam and a microphone, and we know how you know how to use it. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Catholic guilt runs both ways.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So it makes the church go round and round.
We even accept Android users.
Ooh.
Just kidding. Well, no.
Somebody's got to have some common sense here. Oh, I mean.
Oh, this is getting good.
All right. Well, folks, I'm going to go ahead and shut the broadcast down. And again, thanks for everybody out there watching for joining us. And don't forget, if you're watching this after the fact and you want to be part of here during the live broadcast, it's Saturday mornings, usually around 10:30ish Eastern daylight time now, and when we switch over to standard time, it'll be Eastern Standard Time. So 10:30 in the morning Eastern Time. And hope you all have a great week. Take care and God bless.